If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the amount of pruning required to maintain a bonsai, fear not. In today's video, we break down the 4 most common types of bonsai, pruning techniques, and discuss when and why they should be performed. So whether you're caring for an ancient tree or a freshly potted bonsai, hopefully this video will help you confidently approach pruning your next bonsai project. Let's start with maintenance pruning, which is performed throughout the growing season and is one of the easiest forms of pruning. This type of pruning can be done at almost any time during the growing season and consists of trimming the newest shoots and leaf clusters to maintain shape, encourage back budding, and refine the foliage pad density. If you've recently potted your bonsai, maintenance pruning will help you dial in the shape and size of your tree's canopy. And once established, regular maintenance pruning keeps the canopy proportionate to the tree's overall size and root system. In addition to maintaining the desired shape, another benefit of performing regular maintenance pruning is that it encourages back budding. Back budding is the production of new buds along an old branch. And it's a key element of bonsai design because it helps fill in a tree's interior, making it appear more dense and refined. As you might have noticed, trees in nature don't have bare branches in their interior. They typically feature a dense canopy that conceals the branch structure within. Although many bonsai do have dense canopies, some popular bonsai like maples tend to grow open and airy. And if left unpruned, they can become quite sparse. Even so, through proper maintenance pruning, you can maintain a dense canopy that hides the branch structure. To perform maintenance pruning, simply use a sharp pruners or shears and disinfect them before and after use. Disinfecting your tools is important as it kills off any bacteria or fungi that can harm your bonsai. One way to do this is to use a 10% bleach solution. Submerge your tools inside for 10 minutes, then dry them completely before storing. Alternatively, you can use rubbing alcohol. When handling any bonsai, always make clean cuts. Avoid crushing or tearing stems or leaves, as this can damage your bonsai and leave it susceptible to disease or pests. When cutting branches, cut just above a bud or leaf insertion point. Doing this ensures that your bonsai will continue to grow in the desired direction. Finally, make sure to maintain the tree's natural shape. If you're unsure how to do this, take inspiration from trees in nature. If you live in an area with lots of trees, try taking photos of trees that have a similar species. Then, when you go home, you can refer to these photos to ensure that you maintain the natural shape of your bonsai. The next type of pruning is structural pruning, also known as early response or seasonal reshaping. Unlike maintenance pruning, which maintains the current state of the bonsai, structural pruning is used to remove unwanted primary or secondary branches. With this technique, you can carve a new branch structure or completely change the look of the trunk line. It's a more aggressive form of pruning, but it's necessary when dealing with certain species or when you want to achieve a particular aesthetic. For example, in the case of Chinese elm, the tree has a naturally spreading habit. Therefore, to achieve a more upright bonsai silhouette, you need to prune off the outward-facing branches. Structural pruning can also be used to improve the quality of the remaining branches. Branches that are too close together can rub against each other, causing damage and unsightly scars. By pruning off one of the branches, you allow the remaining branches to grow stronger and straighter. Additionally, if a branch is growing in an undesirable direction, you can prune it off and redirect the tree's growth towards a more aesthetically pleasing direction. Structural pruning is usually performed during dormancy, but large-scale structural pruning can cause stress. So it's best to avoid doing extensive work all at once. Instead, you can spread out the work over several years. As with all pruning methods, the goal is to make clean cuts just above a leaf or bud insertion point. To recap, you'll want to have a reason for every cut you make, whether it's to remove dead, diseased, or unwanted branches. Always remember to maintain the tree's natural shape and balance. If you're unsure about a particular branch, consider leaving it alone unless you have a clear plan for what you're trying to achieve. If it's not adding to the overall design, it's best to leave it as it could be useful in the future. When dealing with conifers, you may encounter long, drooping needles. In these cases, needle pruning can help reshape the tree and improve its appearance. However, it's essential to understand the species you're dealing with before proceeding. Needle pruning is more suitable for species with long outer needles that grow in a whorl around the branch tips, such as pines and spruces. If you attempt to needle prune a tree like a Japanese maple, you'll end up with an unsightly mess. Before starting, you should decide whether to prune the entire tree or just a portion of it. If you're working with a young tree, you can needle prune the entire tree. However, if you're dealing with a mature tree, you're better off focusing on one section at a time. Depending on the severity of the situation, you may even need to do this over several years. Once you've decided on the scope of your pruning project, gather the necessary materials. You'll need a pair of sharp, clean bypass pruners, a hand pruner, and possibly a bamboo stake. If you need to correct the branch angle, begin by identifying the oldest needles. These will be located in the center of the tree. Once you've located the oldest needles, make a small cut near the base of the clump. Be careful not to cut too aggressively, as this can damage the branch. After making the cut, pull the needles away from the branch to expose the cut surface. This helps prevent disease and promotes faster healing. Continue this process until you reach the desired length. Remember to maintain a taper and avoid creating a horizontal branch. If needed, you can use a bamboo stake to guide the branch into the correct position. Finally, clean your pruning tools and admire your newly shaped bonsai. We've covered 3 main types of pruning, but there's one more technique we need to discuss: leaf or needle pruning. Leaf pruning involves removing old or downward growing foliage to expose the branch structure. This is particularly beneficial in deciduous species where it can enhance inner growth. Conifers, on the other hand, use leaf pruning to thin out excessively heavy outer layer. In the case of pines, this is commonly referred to as summer pruning. It's important to note that although both techniques utilize the same method of removing foliage, the goals and considerations differ. Before we dive into the details, let's first take a moment to appreciate the beauty of trees in nature. When we observe trees in their natural environment, we see that they often have a dense canopy which can sometimes obscure the underlying branch structure. However, when viewed from certain angles, we can catch glimpses of the intricate network of branches and twigs that support the tree's foliage. This interplay between the dense canopy and the exposed branch structure creates a visually appealing contrast that highlights the tree as strength and resilience. But it's not just about aesthetics. Removing some of the foliage allows sunlight to penetrate deeper into the canopy, promoting growth in the inner branches and creating a fuller, more robust tree. This technique encourages the development of a strong branch structure that can withstand the weight of the tree, its foliage, and the forces of nature. By understanding and mimicking these natural processes through leaf pruning, we can create bonsai that not only look like their natural counterparts, but also exhibit the same strength and resilience. But how do you know when it's time to perform leaf pruning? A good rule of thumb is to wait until the tree is actively growing. This allows you to see the branch structure more clearly and make more informed decisions about which leaves to remove. However, it is important to note that the frequency of leaf pruning can vary depending on factors such as the tree species, growing conditions, and desired aesthetic outcome. Generally, you want to avoid pruning during the tree's dormant season, as this can stress the tree and potentially damage it. Leaf pruning is not a one-size-fits-all approach and requires careful consideration and planning. Alright, so we've covered the 4 main types of pruning. Let's quickly review them. Maintenance pruning is the trimming of new shoots and leaf clusters to maintain shape, encourage backbudding, and refine foliage density. Ideally done throughout the growing season, structural pruning involves removing unwanted primary or secondary branches to establish a new branch structure or trunk line. Leaf or needle pruning removes old or downward growing foliage to expose branch structure. It's done more aggressively in conifers than in broadleaf evergreens and deciduous trees. Whether you're a seasoned bonsai enthusiast or a curious beginner, we hope this video has shed some light on the world of bonsai pruning. Remember, every tree is unique and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to pruning. Take the time to understand your tree, needs, and observe its growth patterns, and don't forget to share your experiences and ask questions. And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more informative content. Thank you for watching and happy pruning.